Hello, welcome to Economics 101, your number one source for everything economics. What if I told you almost every price you pay, from rent to groceries to gas, is controlled by one simple idea? And right now in 2026, the idea is driving inflation, shaping the Federal Reserve decisions, and impacting your wallet every single day. Today, we're breaking down the simple economic policy of supply and demand. Here's what we're going to cover: what supply and demand actually means, why prices go up or crash, and how this affects inflation, the Fed, and you. Before we jump into the video, I have a quick favor that really helps grow the channel. If you enjoy simple breakdowns of complex economic topics, consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It helps more people understand what's really happening in the economy. All right, let's hop into it. What is supply? Let's start super simple. Okay. Supply is how much of something is available. All right, that could be supply of houses, a supply of cars. It can also be a supply of jobs, a supply of oil. Let's use oil as an example because of what's going on in the Middle East. But you could also have a supply of labor. Okay, if there's a lot of something available, supply is high. All right, very simple. If there's very little of something, supply is low. Think about housing right now. Okay, in many parts of the U.S. In 2026, housing supply is still tight, still low. Not enough homes are being built fast enough. Now, that is pretty much regional, but in certain areas, that is the case. You do have a shortage of inventory or low supply. So, what happens? Prices go up. Typically, when you have low supply, price will go up. Okay, because when something is scarce, it becomes more valuable. All right, shifting over to demand. Really simple. Um, Demand is how much people want something, okay, and or how much are they willing to pay for that something, okay. High demand means you got more buyers, more competition, and typically more higher prices. All right. Low demand, you'll have fewer buyers, lower prices. Um, an example, let's use travel. Okay, so like after the pandemic, demand for flights and vacations, they exploded. People were trapped in the house, want to get out, want to travel. Okay, airlines didn't have enough planes or staff ready. So what happened? Ticket prices surge. Okay, not a lot of demand, not enough supply, prices go up. Not because airlines got greedy overnight, which, in my opinion, yeah, they do, but because demand overwhelmed supply. So let's talk about the price connection to the supply and demand. Okay, and here's where it's kind of all comes together. Prices are determined by the relationship between supply and demand. Okay, there are three key scenarios when talking about prices as they relate to supply and demand. Okay, here we go. High demand plus low supply equals, most of the time, prices skyrocket. Low demand, high supply equals prices drop the majority of the time. Balanced supply and demand equals stable prices. This is called equilibrium. Okay, but here's the problem: we almost never stay in an equilibrium. All right, the economy is constantly shifting. So let's kind of connect this to what's happening right now. All right, in 2026, April 2026. All right, inflation has been a major issue for the last 3 to 5 years. At points where CPI inflation was running above 3 to 4% annually. So why? Because demand surged after stimulus and strong job growth, but supply chains couldn't keep up. Okay, you didn't have not enough goods, not enough workers, not enough housing. Um, so that imbalance pushed prices higher. It pushed prices up. Okay, even even when we talk about today, when you look at the housing, when you talk about rent, rent remains elevated. Food prices are still volatile, high. Energy prices swing based on supply shocks. They're still high. This is a supply and demand. This is supply and demand in real time. What we're living in, what you're experiencing, what I'm experiencing, is supply and demand in real time. Okay. Shifting real quick on how the Fed reacts, or how does the Federal Reserve um, deal with this? Okay. What do they do about it? So they try to control demand. How? By raising interest rates. Okay. We talk about this in a couple of my other videos. Interest rates are a tool for the Fed to use, okay, in order to be able to stabilize. Um, so they try to control demand. They do that by raising interest rates. When rates go up, borrowing becomes more expensive, spending slows down, demand decreases, okay? They bring the demand down, okay? The goal of all of this, um, you want to bring demand down, or excuse me, the Fed is bringing demand down in order to match the supply, okay, to create that equilibrium. That's how they try to control inflation. But here's the catch: if they slow demand too much, then you get a recession. Okay, so you risk, if I slow down demand too much to try to catch up with supply, I risk a recession. Quick pause, guys. If you want more breakdowns like this that make economics actually make sense, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Okay, and how does all of what we just said impact you? Okay, this isn't just theory. You see it on a day-to-day basis. This affects our daily life. It affects your life. It affects my life on a daily basis. Okay, when supply is tight and demand is high, I'm going to pay more for groceries. My rent is going to increase. My gas is going to increase. When demand drops for these things, that's where you get discounts appear. Okay, jobs may become harder to find, businesses slow down. Okay, so there's always a trade-off, or another effect from either demand or supply being low or high. So whether you realize it or not, you're constantly living inside the supply and demand cycle. Okay, at the end of the day, supply and demand isn't just it's not an economic concept. It's the invisible force behind almost every financial decision that me and you make. Okay, if you understand this, you understand inflation, or at least you have somewhat of an idea or concept about it. Um, if you understand this, you understand the markets, you understand the Fed, you understand where the economy might be headed to next. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand supply and demand, because we do experience on a day-to-day basis. All right. So if this video helped you look at the economy a little differently, or understand the economy a little differently, please hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. What's one price increase that's surprised you most recently? Again, this is Evanomics, where we break down the economy so that you can move smarter in it. Thank you for watching. I have more videos coming. Please stay tuned. Thank you.